who are here, come on up too. Hey guys, come on up. Have a seat. Hey. Hi, girls. Hi. Gotta move. There's more people coming. Hey. Hi. Come on in. That's fine. Y'all take your time. Hey, Benjamin. Wow. Okay. So, of all the things I've ever told you guys up here during children's sermon, what do you think might be the most important? Anybody? Can anybody remember any of the things I've told you during children's sermon? No. Thank you for the honesty. That's good. It's hard, isn't it? I'd say a lot of things up here. But the one that I think is the most important is this: that God loves you, and each one of you, and me, and everybody else here, and that God made us to love each other the same way. We turn religion into something that's more complicated than that far too often. But that's really it in a nutshell. And all the other stuff that I might have told you, other things you might have remembered besides those things, are all really ways of getting back to that first point, that God loves us and made us to love. If we can remember just that much, that God loves us and that we're supposed to love others, all the rest of it falls into place on its own. So do you think next time if I ask you what's most important, you'll be able to remember? Can you remember God loves you? Yes. Okay. Good. Let's go get some stamps. Thank you. Oh. Okay. There you go. You want the other one too? Okay. Go. There you go. Hi. There you go. Hi. Let's see. Right there. You want the other one too? Okay. Uh-huh. Hey, ready? All right. Hi, William. There we go. Hi. There you go. There we go. There you go. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Spent a lot of time with that verse this week, wrestling with it. Got to the point that I pulled Jesus aside for a little come to Jesus meeting. And I told Jesus, now I get following you, but this thing about your burden being light really feels like a load of crap this week. It was only 2 weeks ago, Jesus, that you told us that if we didn't pick up our cross and follow you, that we could have no part in your kingdom. So I know what your burden looks like, Jesus. I know that it's a cross. And crosses are heavy. Jesus, I know what that cross looks like in my life right now. Another parishioner diagnosed with cancer. Somebody facing a custody hearing. Other legal problems for folks. Lost jobs. In my own life, a father-in-law who's had a stroke and is going into a nursing home. My own dad in bad health. Not enough time to be at home with my family. Not enough time to be here with my parish. And that's all before I pick up the newspaper and read everything that's going on in the world and all the ways in which we are being violent and horrible one to another. And if that wasn't enough, if we're going to be honest, Jesus, Christians in general just aren't easy to get along with. And make the load heavier still sometimes. And I railed at him for a while, and he let me go. And then after a while, he got a little smile on his face and said, "Are you done?" And Jesus said to me, "I know all of that. I know how heavy all of that is. That's not the burden I'm talking about. See, all of those are things that Jim has to solve. And those things are heavy. But Jesus says, my burden is not any of that. My burden is love. All Jesus asks us to do is to love. To love God, to love one another, to let ourselves be loved. That doesn't mean all of those problems, the litany in my own life, the litany in all of your lives, it doesn't mean that those problems aren't real. They are real. But what Jesus asks of us is to love. If we love, if I love, if you love, if the folks out there love, God will work through that love to deal with all of those problems. All of those problems that are bigger than we are and far too heavy for us to bear. Now, love, real love, is going to lead us right to that cross that Jesus talked about a couple of weeks ago. But the cross, in this case, would only be a stop on the way. When we love, the cross is not the final answer. The new life on the other side is. God calls all of us to love. To pick up that simple burden and to trust that when we do so, God will work not in spite of us, but through us to deal with all of those other problems if we just set them down in the presence of love.